All right, I'm here with Rick Wyckoff of Constructing a New Rick, and he's going to be our first interview for the TAF eGym, or Taffy Gym as some have called it. So I'm pretty excited about having Rick on here because he has an amazing transformation, one of the best transformations I've ever seen in my life. And I've also had the pleasure of meeting him in person, and we got in a pretty good workout. Now it's a few months ago now, right?
Yeah,
Back when I was still in shape, I think.
right.
Um, so anyhow, Rick, I guess everybody really, at least I want to know, how much weight have you lost so far? Last I knew, it was like somewhere around 188 pounds.
Yeah, it's been right around 188, just short of 190 so far, and been at it, I guess, about 16 months. So I guess it's just over 10 pounds a month on average. But I started out around 426 pounds, and to date I'm right around 240.
Hmm.
So
Wow. So tell us your story, man. What got you started and why you still going? What kind of from beginning to end? Tell us about you.
all right. I've always been overweight ever since about 8 years old. About the second grade, I just kind of ballooned, I guess. Not sure how it happened or why, but I mean, I grew up playing track and field and soccer and climbing trees and stuff, and for some reason the weight just came on, and just struggled with it all the way through school, all the way through high school and college, and then after college is when it really started coming on the weight. Um, and I kind of ballooned up. I was probably up to 450 pounds at one point in my life.
Okay.
And and then I trained a little bit for like just to walk a 5K.
Hmm.
And things like that. Just not being able to fit in restaurant booths and being afraid of the seats at the restaurants. I
Let
developed.
me stop you right there because I know
Okay.
I've seen some recent posts of yours on Facebook where you talked about that still kind of, even though that isn't necessarily a reality anymore, but it kind of feels like it in your head. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, just this past weekend, I noticed I was at a cafe and there was a table and it was like really close to a wall. And there wasn't much room in between that table and wall. So, I took the time to move the table out and push the chair way out. And I sat down on it and there was plenty of room, and it's
Hmm.
just a habit, I guess. I still see me as a big me, as a big version of me, I guess. And I'm always um, trying to accommodate that bigger person in my head. So,
Right. So it's
um,
amazing to me because it's been over a year and you've been in fairly good shape, or at least this size, for at least a few months now. So
right.
you'd think you'd be used to it by now.
Yeah, you think so. I guess just it's been a lifetime of being a bigger me, having, big 50, size 50 plus jeans, and stuff like
Right.
that. So I guess it just takes time to get over that mentality, just after a lifetime of it, 20 years of it. So
Yeah.
uh,
Takes more than just a few months to erase all that, huh?
yeah, exactly. So,
Unfortunately.
right.
So go ahead and finish up with the story. I cut you off
Yeah,
there.
so there were several things that kind of led to me finally deciding to drop the weight, and a couple of the big ones, was the restaurant seating. I developed anxiety. There was a time when I thought I would just fall over dead of a heart attack because I was so heavy, and I knew it, and so I developed anxiety from that. And I ended up having a panic attack just at work, and I didn't know what was going on, and ended up in the emergency room,
Mm.
and my blood pressure was like super high, and that event itself wasn't enough to get me to think about my weight, but what really kind of pushed me to that point was a pizza binge. Just
Okay.
one night after work, I had a bad day at work and turned to my therapy, which was pizza,
Mm.
and I stuffed myself with a large one, 2 liter of Dr. Pepper, whatever it was, and that night I couldn't go to sleep. I had indigestion. I was sick, and I just laid there, and I was thinking, what am I doing? I'm better than this. I'm worth
Yeah.
more than this, and that just kept going over and over in my head. And the next morning I woke up just with the determination and decided now's the time, and I just haven't looked back since that day. So,
That's amazing, man. So, just real quick, not to try and bring back bad memories or anything, but this whole pizza binge thing, like you could put down a whole large pizza and 2 liters of soda. Like, I mean, how often did you do that?
probably at least twice a month, maybe once a week
Wow.
sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
and
was generally a Friday thing.
yeah, was it always when you were down and
Pretty much, or just was in the mood for it.
mm,
I don't know. I mean, it was almost a bit of a high for me. I mean, you stuff yourself so much, and you kind of get that sugar high or whatever, and it's just I don't know. I almost look forward to it. Just it's just weird thinking back
yeah,
on it now, but it
yeah.
was something I really looked forward to.
Man, wow. I remember there was one time I drank almost a 2 liter of soda. I think I was about 13 years old at the time. And we were in a hotel down in Salem, Oregon. My older brother, was playing a baseball tournament there, and I was in watching TV, and he came in and started wrestling with me, and I puked the whole night because of that
Yeah,
stupid soda.
right.
Yeah. So, what has your weight loss done for you? Like, what have you gained from it? I mean, obviously you've lost a lot of weight, but how has it improved your life? What have you been able to do since you've lost all this weight? What are the improvements to you?
Um, I'd say the biggest improvement and something I'm still working on is just having more confidence in myself.
Yeah.
Being able to just do what I want to now and not have to think, second guess myself or second guess if people are judging me. Um, that was another thing that, I knew it was affecting my career a little bit just because I'm an architect and people um, need to have that certain level of trust in their art, in an architect. And I always felt like that prejudgmental kind of deal where people see a larger person as being lazy or unprofessional or whatever, I always kind of felt that hindered my career a little bit. And there's things like that. Being able just to shop for clothes wherever I want to now. Still remember the very first day I went into Banana Republic and bought my first outfit there after getting
Did
most of the weight off.
that feel pretty
Um,
good?
it did. It was actually surprising how good it felt. Going from that big and tall store
Yeah.
to a regular store,
Right.
and just being able to wear fashionable clothes. Not
Mm-hmm.
so.
Not the as a you remember Rodney Dangerfield?
Yeah.
You go around telling everybody you should shop in my big and fat stores.
Oh, right.
So you're out of that store now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because one thing I find with a lot of my clients is when they've lost a lot of weight, they realize it wasn't about the weight at all. It was really about what they gained. And clothes shopping happens to be a big thing. You're honestly the first male I've heard say that. But
Oh, yeah.
um, I don't know, for some reason, a lot of women, I train a lot of women, and they all have come back and said, I love clothes shopping now, and it's such a joy. And, I don't get it because I just go straight in, get what I want, and get out of there. And get as quickly as I
Right.
can. But I can understand how that would be a very liberating experience. So,
Mhm.
what about anything else? Has there been anything else like that?
Yeah. One big thing I got to do was train and run a 5K.
Okay.
I actually ran two 5Ks, and one was down in Miami, Florida. Another one was in San Antonio, Texas. And I remember thinking when I first started, or even well into my weight loss journey, that I would never be able to run anything like that. And actually, running really helped me kind of get through some of the weight loss things because I always was able to draw parallels between weight loss and running, just because um, both require a certain level of effort, both require getting past certain mental barriers. Running just happens within minutes time,
Mm-hmm.
but where weight loss takes months and years. But it's still that both are mostly mental, I think, and just kind of getting past certain like barriers and milestones and things like that. So just running not only burned calories, but it also taught me a lot of things, just about the mental side of it.
Yeah. which is probably the most important part of it.
Totally.
You know, and
And
something quite honestly you still struggle with, don't you?
oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, still, there's just the whole self-image thing. Self-doubt is I still struggle with my self-doubt, and just being a little bit self-conscious sometimes. Catch like right now, I'm having trouble with the loose skin and things like that. That comes with massive weight loss, and so I'll see some of the loose skin at the gym or whatever, and start getting a little self-conscious there, and it starts affecting my performance.
Affecting
There's
more
just
than just your performance, doesn't it?
oh yeah, yeah, just
Your
yeah,
motivation and all that.
it'll get me depressed, just
Mm-hmm.
downright depressed sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and I just have to kind of crawl my way back up out of that mess, and some I'm just learning recently is just really start to focus on the positives rather than focusing like on the loose skin or just
Right.
the few negative things that have come with this, but so
Well, let's move past the negative. Tell us some
okay.
about some more of the positives.
Positives.
Yeah.
Just being able to. One thing I'm learning is that I now have a story that I wouldn't have without this. Going through all this, I have a story that's inspiring that I can use to help other people, which I'm growing passionate about more every day.
Mm-hmm.
I do eventually want to become a trainer and being able to help other people um, reach, some of their dreams and stuff, especially related to health and fitness. So
Yeah.
that's a huge positive for me. Just it makes that whole experience of being overweight worthwhile now that that I've been through it and I can help others now. So
Mm-hmm. So I think you kind of already answered this, but simple question here: do you feel better than now than when you did before you started?
uh, yeah, definitely. It's kind of weird when I look back on it. Life was so numb, but I didn't really know it.
Yeah.
I didn't have a drive, I didn't have a passion. And so I didn't really have ups and downs like I do now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one thing I've kind of noticed is when you finally do find that drive and that passion, you have something that's pushing you. And so you have those days, where you're really up, and then you have days whenever you're really down because at least in my case, I tend to get ahead of myself and I get frustrated with myself, and I think I should be either doing more or something, and I ended up getting frustrated. So there are those days, that I do have my ups and my downs, but I wouldn't trade that for anything now. After experiencing it, I don't want to go back to that numb, not really caring one way or the other type lifestyle.
Right. Right. Um. So if you were gonna, I guess scale it somehow, like how much do you feel better now than when you first started?
Um, I would say before probably like a 3 or 4, now probably 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Uh, Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think there's a place where I'll be even better. There's always that, you don't want to, I mean, you're always trying to improve yourself and stuff like that.
Right, right.
I
Because I
think there
would
is
look at
a
you and
place.
say, man, you should feel like a 10, man. Like you don't even need an extension on the airplane seat buckle anymore, you
It's
know?
true. That is
Uh,
true. There are times when it feels like a 10. But I think overall,
well, there you go. So, yeah, yeah. So
right, right.
averages out to, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I think, I mean, I still have more weight I'd like to get off. And there's certain goals that I want to accomplish, certain milestones I want to get to.
Hmm.
And I just think those will help. There's always room for improvement, I guess. But
Absolutely. So the big question is, and everybody thinks that you're perfect, how do you stay motivated?
well, I think the answer to that is I don't. There are times when I have no motivation at all.
Hmm.
There are times, there's days when I got all the motivation in the world. Working out is easy, staying on the meal regimen is easy, and that goal and whatever it is you want to accomplish is right there in front of you, and it's all easy at that point. But then there's days when you wake up and you don't want to work out, you don't want to get that morning cardio in, you'd rather order a pizza instead of stick with your meal plan. But
Let me ask you this then. So,
yeah,
and I know the answer to this question, but do you sometimes give in?
I do, yeah, totally. I do allow myself once a week to have a cheat meal.
Okay.
And I think there's a certain level of discipline that's involved in that. I don't allow myself to have a cheat meal whenever I feel like it. I schedule it, and I'm working towards that meal during the week.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a certain level of discipline involved, and it's not out of weakness. It's not out of guilt. It's just part of the plan,
Yeah.
and I enjoy it, and I move on.
Yeah.
So
So when you do give in to say a time where it's not a scheduled cheat meal, how does that
hmm
affect you?
um, it depends. If it's just once, it doesn't really affect me at all. If it's something that kind of starts to linger and I'm doing it on a day-to-day basis, then it really starts to get to me a little bit. And then I mean, part of this process is just really building up some self-discipline um, and just and sometimes you just really have to rely on that discipline just to say no.
Yeah.
That this isn't helping me towards my goal, so I have to just man up and not do it. It's
Mm-hmm.
just what it comes down to sometimes. So
Yeah. But here's the big thing, and kind of what I'm hoping to get to
okay.
is even though you do screw up from time to time, what
hmm
you don't do is you don't go home, park the car in the garage, shut the door, and start it back up.
Oh, right, yeah.
So the point is you've lost 188 pounds. You lost that in 12 months, I think, right?
Pretty close, yeah.
So right about that. And
hmm
during that time, you weren't perfect,
Right.
right? And that's a pretty significant loss in a very short amount of time. Normally, that would be something like 5 years for somebody. Um, so I guess my point is to anybody who's watching this right now is, you know what? Try to be perfect. Strive for that, but don't let it ruin you if you aren't perfect. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. And you just get it back into it just as soon as you can. The biggest struggle I had during that 12 months was my move from West Texas to Oklahoma City. And whenever I got to Oklahoma City, there was all these new restaurants, all these new things I wanted to try and stuff. And there was probably 2 weeks there, probably more of a month there where I really didn't lose any weight. And it was because I had slipped into eating out a lot and just really not watching, meal portions or anything like that. So I was kind of slipping back into some old habits. And and I had a coach at the time, Ellie, and one thing that he told me that really kind of hit home was he was like, Rick, back in West Texas, you wouldn't let anything keep you from, what you needed to do to get the weight off.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're coming up with these lame excuses. And
I love it. Straight
but
talk.
right, exactly. And for some reason that really hit home. I'm like, he's right. I mean, there was a time there when I would not let anything keep me from doing this. Whatever came up. I mean, my health and my fitness and losing weight was a priority,
Yeah.
and it always took number one. So I just got to thinking about that again, and it really helped me to get back on the right track.
Yeah. I think you said something very powerful there where you said it became a priority.
hmm
Could you say throughout this whole process that you've potentially been maybe a little bit selfish about your exercise and all that?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, I've had to put myself number one,
Mm-hmm.
and
I think that's very important. And I know for at least my experience, anybody who's ever had some success with weight loss or even muscle gain or anything like that has really put themselves number one. Doesn't mean they're forgetting about everybody else, but they come first.
mhm.
So yeah. So go ahead and finish. I sorry I cut you off.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, I was just thinking. I've always just never put myself, with any importance, at least my health.
Yeah.
And so, at one point I decided, these other things, I'm going to push them off to the side for now. I mean, I'll deal with them
Mm-hmm.
and I'll do what I need to. But in the end, at least for right now, and what I want to accomplish, my health, my weight loss, and building muscle now is going to be number one. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Does it feel kind of good to say that and feel that and actually I don't know, I said you not just say it and believe it, but you actually feel it?
oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, I never really done that before, So
Right.
at least in regards to my health, and just to be able to say that, mean it, and see the results from it, it does. It feels great. So,
Hmm. Um, so who are your biggest inspirations?
um, there's whenever I first started, a guy named Ellie Safardi, he kind of took me under his wing, and he's a guy that lost 110 pounds, and now he's like an avid runner,
Hmm.
and he even does a little bit of modeling and stuff like that. So to be able to get him and he always had some really good points. I mean, he was the guy that really got my head on straight
Yeah.
and got me to thinking about this right, to forget about the large numbers, to take it a step at a time, and just really set me on the right path. And so he's been a great mentor and somebody that I just look up to a lot.
Hmm.
Another guy, his name is Jeremy Reed, and he's another guy that was like really overweight at one point. He lost 120
He has a pretty amazing
pounds.
transformation. Yeah.
Oh, I know. And he lost 120 pounds, and I don't know how much muscle he's put on, but he's been
A
on the
lot.
bodybuilding stage. Yeah, exactly. And he's been on the bodybuilding stage, so he's basically done what I want to accomplish. And so I'm actually working with him right now. He's my online trainer, and
Hmm.
he's always got a good word, encouraging word to say. And I just kind of have to trust his program right now. So it's
Yeah. Well, it's done wonders because I've seen some of the pictures that you posted where you're flexing in the mirror and stuff, and you got some pretty good solid arms. That's for sure.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that's it's about the only lean part on me right now, so it's
I thought your
part of that
back
for
looked pretty
sure.
lean. You had one
Oh
picture where you were
yeah,
looking back like this.
you're right.
I was like, damn. um, anybody else?
um, yeah, a lady named Kim Sanders. I got to meet her when I was out in Phoenix, and she's a lady that lost a significant amount of weight and then had surgery to remove the
Mm,
excess skin, and now she's competing and bikini and stuff like that,
nice.
and I mean, she has the stretch marks and things like that, but
Oh,
just be able to just think what you can do with your physique. I mean,
right.
if you just no matter what you've been through and what you've done to yourself, I mean, if you set your mind to it, you can really accomplish whatever it is you want to. So
Yeah.
those kind of people just really motivate me. So
Mm-hmm.
Troy McLaughlin, he was 550 pounds, I think,
Wow. Well, you do
and
look small.
yeah, and he lost over 300 pounds,
Wow.
got the skin removed, and he's been
Wow.
building himself back up too. So just example after example of these people that I try to post on my page often,
Mm-hmm.
just to show just how possible this really is.
Yeah, for sure.
So I mean, the common denominators, they all found a drive, they all found their fire and their passion, and then they acted and followed through on it. So stay
Mm-hmm.
consistent with it.
Cool. So you kind of led into this when you're talking about your trainer, Jeremy, there. What does your workout routine look like these days?
These days, it's a lot more of resistance training than cardio. Right now, we're just trying to build up some muscle to help me get rid of or burn off the rest of the fat. And so I'm working out 5 times a week, um, or lifting 5 days a week, I guess, and doing cardio 2 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And so really just focus on one or two body parts a day. So just a 5 day split. And we just changed it up a couple weeks ago where I'm doing a lot higher reps and a little less weight, just to change things up from what
Yeah.
it was. And I mean, whenever I first started, I remember the first week, all I did was walk 15 minutes a day,
Right.
and that was my starting point. Everyone has to start somewhere, and that was my starting point. And Ellie, taught me the one step at a time approach, and so every week we added 5 minutes to my walking.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got to a certain point, he's like, well, why don't you try jogging just a little bit, So I started jogging 5 seconds at a time.
Was that kind of scary?
It was very scary. I mean, I was very slow and very deliberate on my
Mm-hmm.
jogging. I mean, I was still probably 380 pounds whenever I started jogging.
Yeah.
So I was very slow, and I couldn't do any more than 5 seconds. But each week I would try to add 5 seconds to my jogging. and finally got to the point, where I run that 5K, and so it's
I love that you added just 5 seconds. You know, one of the things I think that people forget about is they think they have to progress their workouts astronomically. Where you went and added 5 seconds a week and that was it. And look at the progress you made. So
totally.
awesome. And I guarantee you that's probably one of the reasons why you got through there without any negative effects like nagging injuries, foot injuries, things like that, because you really took a really good progressive approach.
Yeah, I totally agree with you too, because that was one thing Ellie kept telling me was like, don't hurt yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you're still a very big guy,
Yep.
and don't hurt yourself. So
Yep. Which is
that's why
different than what you see on TV these days, or a
that's
lot
true.
of programs you see where it's like, Dr. Oz lose 100 pounds in 100 minutes kind of thing, or
Right.
you just don't see that anymore. So it's you. I think it's really awesome that you happened to run into Ellie because I know you kind of just found him on the internet, right?
Yeah, yeah. Just trying to think. I think I came across it in one of his videos, either
Yeah.
on YouTube or something,
Mm-hmm.
and it was his transformation video. And at the end of it, he just mentioned that he wanted to use this opportunity to help others,
Mm-hmm.
and he seemed sincere. And so I found him on Facebook, and just got in touch with him on Facebook, and
Yeah. I
he
don't
just
think you
had
could
me
have
fill out.
had any more perfect fit to get you going.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah, yeah. I mean, this day, I believe that people don't come into your life by accident,
Right.
and they're all there for a reason. And he was just there at the right time, and
Mm-hmm.
when I needed, and when I was ready for change,
Yep.
and it was all good.
Yeah. Had a really good start and progressed perfect as far as I'm concerned, because that's one of
Yeah.
my main beefs with this industry.
Mhm.
Tell us about your diet.
My diet, it's a lot of, I don't want to say boring food, but it's just
It
um,
isn't pizza
right.
mostly.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've had a pizza. So, but it's a lot of just like chicken and lean ground beef or lean steak, fish. It's a lot of produce, some fruits, lots of vegetables, and all kinds of different vegetables. And as far as
Do
like,
you pretty much eat as many vegetables as you want?
yeah, yeah, it's kind of good. And I have to say, I was just talking to somebody about this earlier this week. We were talking about, how processed foods and really salty foods, they have such strong flavors and everything that it makes all these more healthier, foods and vegetables just taste so bland. And now that I kind of got all that out of my system, I love asparagus. I love Brussels sprouts. There's
Do they
things
taste stronger to you? Like you can actually,
that,
yeah, because your taste buds will actually change. That's one
I
thing
feel, yeah.
that's one thing I learned with working with Erin Koo, the nutritionist. You're familiar with her, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So one thing I learned with working with her is that your taste buds in your tongue will actually change, and it only takes up to 10 days for that to happen. And then people have
Yeah.
said exactly what you're saying, like all
Hmm.
these fruits and vegetables, nature's candy, basically
Oh,
taste
yeah.
so much better.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I even one day when I was cheating when I shouldn't have been, I even tried a candy bar and it was just so strong and gross and chemically tasting that I mean I still ate it because it was
Yeah,
back
yeah.
in those days, but I mean it didn't have that same kind of real good taste that I thought it was going to,
Right.
and so I mean I eat every 2.5 hours. For me, I get very impulsive whenever I get hungry
Mm.
and I don't make smart decisions when I get hungry. And
So
one way I can combat that is to
eat
just eat,
often.
yeah, just eat a small meal every 2.5 hours or so, and that's helped me. So
Yeah.
that's the approach I've taken.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I think you are doing it right because you're doing exactly what works best for you. It's not necessarily that everybody has to do that or should do that. You
Yeah.
found what works best for you. Did it take some trial and error to figure that out?
Oh, totally. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I started out. Um, I started out eating, 3 meals a day, and I just gradually, just through trial and error and things like that, I found that this way works best for me.
Mm-hmm.
I used to. I tried carb cycling. I tried, low carb. I tried all kinds of different things, and you know, they work well on paper and they work well for some people.
Hmm.
But this is just what works for me. So that's why I think that's why I'm doing it, and that's
Yeah.
why it's successful for me, I guess.
Yeah. So it kind of maybe adds to the frustration a little bit when people contact you and say, "Hey, what do you do?" Because I want to do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not quite sure how to answer that because there's so many variables that go into this.
Right.
What's your daily activity? Where are you at on your journey?
Hmm.
Are you used to eating a lot of vegetables? Do you need to
Right.
make that transition to eating more vegetables? There's so many variables that I don't think people understand. You just can't drop what you're doing, spending a lifetime of certain habits, eating habits. You just can't drop that overnight and expect to sustain, be able to follow a new program for more than just a week.
Yep.
It's just
Well,
not
like for
sustainable.
instance, with you and soda, I think Ellie had you cut out one soda a week or something like that. Was
Yeah, well, let's see. The very first week, we decided we're going to cut out fast food because I was a fast food junkie. I
that's
had
right.
fast food like 3 times a week or 3 times a day. I'm
Hmm.
sorry. And so we cut that out the first week. I had to learn to cook for myself. Go to the grocery store, buy my own food.
Which is a big significant change in itself.
oh, totally,
So
yeah, yeah.
imagine if you took that along with everything else that you needed to do. It would have been pretty overwhelming.
Oh, exactly, yeah. I mean, and then the next week we cut out the soda. The
That's
next
right.
week we
Okay.
cut out candy.
Yeah.
So it was a very step by step process.
Hmm.
And
And I
I
think that's
learned
key.
I do too, and I learned to replace certain things with healthier options. Um, and eventually, I just got rid of those things altogether. And I mean, but it literally took me several months to get to the point where I was comfortable and I was eating a healthy diet that would really lead towards my goal. So
Yeah. I think you said a key word during that whole thing, and that was transition. You didn't just drop from one thing to the other, cold turkey, right? You
exactly.
transitioned, and like you said, it took several months to finally get it down.
Oh, totally. And I know a lot of people on my page, they ask me how I did it. And I'll tell them, very one step at a time. And I had the opportunity to write that blog for you, which
Hmm.
I was able to share how and why I did my journey.
Hmm.
And I refer to people to that a lot, just because it really is kind of a long story.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
and so whenever I tell them it's just a very step by step approach, I generally don't hear back from them. I'm like, I'll generally get questions on the weekend, and so I'm like, this next week, pick one thing that you can do and stick to it, and let me know how it went the next weekend.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I don't hear back. I haven't heard
Well,
back from
yeah,
a
it's
single
not
person
a
yet.
it's not a magic pill, and you
Right,
know,
exactly.
just
So
you should start doing is just tell people to call Dr. Oz.
I guess so. See what the latest. No, I'm not going there.
Or just go look at the magazine stand and see what the latest thing he's recommending is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, anyways, he's a thorn in my side.
Yeah,
So what's the number one thing you'd suggest to someone who's thinking about starting their journey but isn't really quite sure how to start, where to start? They're in your shoes before you met Ellie.
I would strongly suggest one, um, have a certain goal in mind, but just focus on today. One thing that kept me from doing anything for years was the thought of having to lose 250 pounds, whatever it was.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking the whole time, like, how is this possible? How does anybody approach this? And that was one thing Ellie taught me was get that number out of your head. It doesn't
Yeah.
do any good. The time's gonna pass it no matter what. All that all that you can really do is focus on the things you have control over. And today you don't have control over what the scales say. You don't have control over what clothes size that you have. What you do have control over is what you do and what you eat.
Yep.
And so that's how I started. And just really setting aside 15 minutes a day just to go walking um, seemed doable, and I committed to that for the first week to just set aside 15 minutes every day that week and go walking. And then just one small step for eating was giving up fast food. So, those were my first steps that first week. And it was something I thought I could do. And that's what
Mhm.
I would suggest to somebody else is just pick something exercise wise, whether it's walking 15 minutes, riding your bike, whatever it is that you enjoy doing. And then pick one thing eating wise, whether it's giving up soda, giving up cigarettes, drinking more water, just something like that that you can stick to for a week
Yep.
and commit yourself to that. And
Mhm.
that'll prove how serious you are about this
Yeah.
journey. So,
I think the word commitment there is huge because, and you and I have talked about this before. Motivation is fleeting, and you mentioned it in this interview. You'll be riding high for a little bit, and then you go for down for a low, and sometimes it might be a day, sometimes it might be several weeks.
hmm
But that commitment is to what your end goal is, to what you want to gain from that goal, is really what's going to get you through the whole thing.
yeah, totally. Make that commitment to yourself. This got to be something that you want to do for yourself. And I think you can build commitment and you can build self-discipline. Those are things that you can build, and those are the things that you end up relying on the most
Hmm.
during this journey. Just like you said, motivation comes and goes. That excitement, that fire, things like that. Those things come and go. But those down days, those days when you just don't feel like it, and but you know that you have to get to the goal that you want. That's when your discipline really comes in,
Yep.
and so.
Yep. So, is there anything you'd like to share with anybody who's listening to this? Any events you got coming up, or any words of wisdom?
Um, Sorry,
Yes.
that's my dog.
Oh, yeah.
um, I guess the biggest thing would be just to take it one step at a time. That's been kind of my mantra that I picked up. Um, Another thing, I guess, is just what I'm struggling with right now. Actually, is don't get ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
There'll come a point, I think, in your journey where the results will start to slow down. Um, you kind of really just have to rely on that lifestyle that you built for yourself, stick to it, and know that sticking to that lifestyle will lead you to your goal. Also know that there's no going back to that old lifestyle. I still get asked to this day, people ask me, well, when are you going to consider yourself done? And I'm like, I don't think I will ever consider myself done because there's no going back to that old lifestyle. That old lifestyle is what led me to 450 pounds.
Right.
And I'm not going back to that. So this is a new lifestyle that I picked up for me and that I want to live the rest of my life.
Hmm.
And I'm sure there'll be come a time whenever I'll find a balance or something, But for right now, I still want to get some more weight off. I want to build up some muscle and just keep hitting it hard. So,
Yeah. Yeah. You got some sort of virtual 5K,
oh
something
yeah,
like that coming up?
it was something I just announced today, actually. Just an idea I've had for a while now, and it stems from losing all this weight and then having this excess skin to deal with now. And really, the only way to get rid of it is through surgery, and insurance won't cover the cost of it. And I've been quoted as much as like $22,000 for
Jeez.
what I need to have done, and that's for me to reach the goals that I want to accomplish. And I've had a lot of people on my page ask questions about the loose skin and how ways of dealing with it, that they have it, they can't afford surgery, things like that. And so I really see this need to have some type of financial aid almost
Hmm.
for people in this situation. And one idea I had was to come up with a what I call a virtual 5K where people can register. I think there'll be about a $30 registration, but we'll provide medals, we'll provide bibs, things like that. And you can run a 5K or a 10K, or you can either walk, jog a mile, and and you'll get the medal and the bib to go along with it, and the money goes towards helping to finance a deserving person for this procedure. and I think it's a very worthy cause. I hope it's something that becomes kind of an annual event,
Mm-hmm.
and people could submit their stories, and I hope to gather a jury of people to kind of go over the different stories, and hopefully we can help more than just one person eventually.
Sweet, man. That
And
sounds really cool.
yeah, I'm excited about it, and I think it's something that I definitely see a need for it. I think it's a worthy cause. It's a celebration of people's accomplishments, and it's a huge life changing event for a special person. So
Yeah.
it's totally something I'm excited about.
Yeah, that's cool. So how can people reach out to you or follow you?
Best way to follow me is on Facebook. I have a Facebook page called Constructing a New Rick, and it has about 15,000 people on there now, and it's just a place where I go. I share my thoughts, my struggles, my accomplishments. Just really try to journal my journey, so far.
Mm-hmm.
And people have really seemed to latch onto it and get inspired by it, and I hope I can just continue that, that positive, motivating word. One thing that I really see as a problem is like the media and the health community really paint obesity as a very negative and a very self-defeating type, condition, which in a way it is. But I'm hoping through my website that I can show, instead of focusing on the negative statistics of obesity and how it's growing and people are suffering more and more from it, I'm hoping to show, well, there are people that have overcome this,
Yeah.
and these are kind of common threads that people have that have overcome this, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to get my the head off of those negative numbers and more on a positive mentality
Yep.
towards it, because it is a very beatable type thing. So you just have to
Absolutely.
decide that you want it.
Yep. Very cool, man.
Hmm.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time out and letting me do this interview for you for my members at the Taffy Gym.
Oh yeah, man, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. And we'll be seeing you around Facebook.
Hmm. Sounds great, man.
All right, have a good day.
All right, you too.